Hey everyone, Michael Pickens here. Welcome to the Libertarian Leadership Academy weekday live stream where I interview candidates and activists who are advancing the cause of liberty in their local communities. Today we actually have a guest that joined us, a month ago, and now he is back to talk about his campaign. His name is Gage Beck. He's the Libertarian candidate for Assembly District 13 in Nevada. How's it going, Gage?
Oh, it's gone peachy. It's good to be back.
Awesome. I love that. Peachy. I had a t-shirt in high school and it said "Life is peachy." I loved it.
It's also a swear word in Turkish, which that won't help you ever in your life, but you heard it from me first.
Okay.
So I'm running for Assembly District 13. That's the lower legislative chamber of Nevada. And I'm running to lower costs and to fight government overreach. Those things tend to go hand in hand as well.
Absolutely. Now, was there anything that happened to you in your life that kind of have has given you this purpose of running for office?
Listening to other people, the problems that they have, the
Hmm.
problems that tend to not reach the ears of, our elected representatives. Um, like for example, I have an elderly friend who really wanted to be a poll worker last cycle, but she couldn't
Hmm.
because she's on a Social Security, and there's a very stingy income cap, you know. So she wasn't able to do that because she would lose her Social Security if she were to do that. And the thing is that we need all the poll workers we can get. So that'd be one of the things that I would want to fight should the people of Nevada elect me.
Yeah, so, you know, talking about that, people on uh, government assistance, right? They
Hmm.
make the barriers to getting out of it very difficult,
Yes.
right? So if someone wants to work their way out and the government finds out, they
Hmm.
could pull their assistance, right?
Yeah.
So then people just stay on it and don't try.
Yeah, it's called the poverty cycle. Now, the thing that I find so egregious about an income cap on retirement age people is that, okay, the income cap makes sense for people on disability or something. They could be, faking it or whatever, or it could be not needed anymore. But nobody's faking being elderly. And if they are, then I'm very impressed. Not to mention that on a fixed income, if somebody is retirement aged and they're going back into the workforce, they're doing it for a reason.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to go back. They're going back because they have to, either because their rent was raised or cost of living's gone up and their fixed
Mhm.
income hasn't risen with it. Um, Sorry.
No, that's exactly correct. Like they're going back to work because they have to. And then if they have barriers, if the
Hmm.
government says, "Oh, well, if you do go back to work, then we're going to cut your food stamps or we're going to cut,
Hmm.
your housing assistance or anything else." Like it's just trapping people in a cycle of poverty,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, exactly. So that'd be one way to uh, lower costs and fight government overreach at the same time.
Mhm.
Another way, I have a friend who opened a small business here, and one day I decided to ask what that was like. The look on his face, you know, like recounting, a horror story, like, oh, you know, in order to open his business in North Las Vegas, they didn't need to just get one. Uh, they didn't need to just get one paper. They had to fill out paperwork for all the cities in Clark County, which I believe is 5 incorporated cities.
Oh,
Now
they
that,
had to basically set up their business, get business licenses
Mhm.
in every city and
Hmm.
in Clark County.
Hmm.
Wow.
No, completely egregious. Like, we can swat that down. Like that should be lowered, and it can be. Um,
Mhm.
oh yeah. Um, so there have been good bills introduced in the past that unfortunately, were either never brought up to vote or were voted down. One of the big ones for me would be AGR 5, AJR 5. Um, so in Nevada, of all the states, Nevada has prohibited the sale of lottery tickets. which I know that sounds very comical. We're the gambling state. Um, so AJR 5 would have repealed the prohibition of lottery ticket sales here. That'd be a whole new industry here. And it got shot down because, well, the gaming business here has a lot of sway, unfortunately. But the thing
Yeah.
is that makes it so silly, too, is that Nevadans can still buy lottery tickets. They just buy it from California. So it's getting the worst of both worlds.
Interesting. So it sounds like, your main platform is to make things easier for the people that live in Nevada, right?
Yes,
Shouldn't
absolutely.
that
Mm-hmm.
be like the priority of
Mm-hmm.
every politician?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and start small, too. Start where the people in Carson City often don't look. Like, for example, just one small example would be food handlers cards. Um, it's one of the most common things that people need. Teenagers,
Mhm.
young adults. Food service is one of the most common industries to enter. It's $20 to take the test, and then it's $5 to retake it. I know that's not a whole lot, but mind you, how many teenagers and young adults and people in bad situations, are getting their food handler's card or something like that? Which is why I would propose that the first attempt should be free. And then
Yep,
after that, sure, fine, okay,
$5.
yeah.
I like that. You've talked about issues that a lot of candidates haven't talked about, and like I understand in Washington State it's $300 to start a business, right? To get an LLC. Okay,
Hmm.
so that's a high bar just to get into the marketplace. But I didn't even think about the food handler's card because I think it's even more in Washington, like $45 when you go to take the test online. You know, and these barriers to entry, it's like, $20 probably isn't a lot for a state legislator, for a state senator, like
Hmm.
for the governor, the people passing these laws. Their entire subsistence is from taxpayer money, so it's stolen. They
Hmm.
should have more understanding when it comes to these barriers to entry.
Yep, well put, absolutely. Luckily, we're not quite Washington level. Actually, we're nowhere near. No offense.
No,
Um,
no, none
and I aim
taken. I didn't
I
do
aim to
it.
keep it that way. Um, One of the biggest things that we could do to fight to lower costs here. Um, Last session, there was Assembly Bill 33 introduced. It was introduced. It was actually, I believe, it was written by State Controller Andy Matthews. Um, AB 33 would establish an Inspector General position in the state. We're a state that does not have it. We have an Inspector General office, but not a position for it. Essentially, that would be an auditor for the Nevada government, for the state. It would be a terminator who's not after Kyle Reese or, John Connor. It'd be after mismanaged funds, corruption, etc., etc. Now, unfortunately, it got shot down last session. I have a theory why. I mean, Andy Matthews is Republican. Um, the way that he put the bill forth, so it would be a position that the controller would suggest a list of names for people to be in the inspector general position. Then that list would be passed on to the attorney general, who would vet them, kick out anybody who doesn't belong. Then the vetted list would be given back to uh, lieutenant governor, state controller, and treasurer. And the thing is that lieutenant governor and controller are both Republican. State treasurer is Democrat. I have a feeling
Interesting.
that they probably shot it down that cycle, hoping that they were going to get one of those two positions first. Then they can have full control over
Full
who
control.
becomes. Yeah, exactly. It's just a partisan game. Yeah, it's such an
That's
ugly
crazy.
thing. Yeah.
It is. It is an ugly thing. And it seems like, the politicians are getting elected and just doing what their party leadership is saying,
Hmm.
right? Versus doing the right thing.
Hmm. Um, yeah, that's why I have nothing but respect for people like I don't want to talk national too much, but Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna, breaking from
Hmm.
their
Oh
parties to
yeah,
do it right. I mean, more power to both of them. I'm always rooting for Republicans and Democrats to do the right thing. I just don't have a
yep,
whole lot of faith that they're going to. you know.
yep, yeah. The whole Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna alliance, where Ro Khanna's a liberal Democrat,
Hmm.
and Thomas Massey's very constitutional conservative, but they're working together to release the Epstein files. They're working
Hmm.
together on issues that they can agree on, and we need more of that in politics because they are both, you know, challenging the status quo and the establishment, if you will,
Hmm.
right? And it reminds me a lot of Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what they did together, right? Pushing back against wars overseas. Um,
Was this in the 2000s?
yeah, it was mid 2000s. Yeah.
That was the time to do it for sure.
Yep.
Um, yeah, my philosophy, should I be elected to Assembly District 13, I would try to work with both parties, but trust neither. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
not to be
Exactly.
cynical, but
Now, do you have a Republican and a Democrat opponent?
um, the incumbent's a Republican, and he's certainly running again.
Mhm.
There might be a Democrat. I'm not sure. Um, there was a guy who ran the last two cycles, and he could very well run a third time. But at the very least, I do have a Republican opponent, Brian Hibbets.
Gotcha. Yeah, because if you only had a Republican or a Democrat, um,
Mhm.
you would have a greater chance, and then you can target the other, party in the district. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Brian Hibbets is the incumbent, so you're running
Mhm.
against a Republican.
Yep.
He's got a very interesting picture on his campaign page. I don't know if I would use that.
Eh, he seems like an all right guy. Unfortunately, he voted for AB5, the Hollywood tax credit bill.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Yep.
Now, the problem with that bill, you know how tax credits work.
Mhm.
It's essentially taxpayer-funded handout for giant companies from outside the state, trying to lure them in to do business here. A huge problem with that is I don't think any of the people proposing the bill have thought about how much it's disincentivized Hollywood from investing here because they're going to just be waiting for this bill to pass now. Like,
Yep.
why would they come film anything here if there's the possibility that next year, or the year after, or whatever, that's when the bill could pass? And like the Fallout show, for example, it's
Mhm.
set in Nevada. It had every
Yep.
reason to be filmed in Nevada. It wasn't filmed in Nevada. I think we could have at least got them to Good Springs, if this wasn't on the table. So if we could just wipe that off the table for good, that'd be that would be appreciated.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like there has been Democrat challengers
Hmm.
in your
Oh,
race, but they
yep.
they've lost by 10% plus every single time.
Hmm. Never won. So if any of you guys are watching this, maybe sit out. I'd appreciate it. Because
That would that would be best for your campaign, absolutely.
I'm not sure if Brian supported this one, but another bill that must be a bill that passed, unfortunately, and it must be fought. Even retroactively, it must be fought. Was
Sure.
AB 530, the gas tax extension bill. So Nevada gas prices are ridiculous, even more so than Washington. They're
Yep.
extremely high because we export almost all our gas from California. But on top of that, we also have one of the highest gas taxes in the country. Um, Now, it was supposed to be a ballot measure whether to extend the gas tax or not. It was
Mhm.
supposed to be a ballot measure this year, but last session, they went ahead and voted to extend it for 10 years anyways. So, all right, guys, mark your calendars. 2036. Be ready to vote against the tax, the gas tax. No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. There needs to be sunset laws on all taxes in 2 to 4 years.
Hmm.
And we should be voting on this stuff. The citizens should be voting on this
Hmm.
stuff, not representatives in the assembly and not senators. Like the problem is these people, you know, they're making good money compared to
Mhm.
the average American, compared to their average constituent, right?
Mhm.
I think all salaries should be based on the median income of the area that you're representing. That's how it should be, because then you'd be focused on making everyone prosperous. And so your pay would go up, but obviously that's not how it is.
Yeah, I mean, we just need to bring more income into the state by incentivizing businesses and entrepreneurs to come here and start their businesses here and operate out of Nevada. Um, we don't need to tax all the drivers in the state. I was actually at a young Republican meeting fairly recently, and the
Mhm.
suggestion came up to build a pipeline to Texas and get gas from Texas. And that's good, that's great, love it, applaud it. But that was that was said in response to the gas tax question, which is, kind of a non sequitur. It's like, how are you going
Yeah.
to get rid of the gas tax? Well, we can lower the price of gas if we, diversify our gas portfolio. Yeah,
But that
how
doesn't
it goes.
that yeah, that has nothing to do with the tax, right?
Mhm. So yeah, we'll do both.
Awesome.
Another thing that's not thought about very often. Um, so AB 363 passed either last session or maybe the session before. It sounds really good. It lifted a ban on the state. It lifted a ban on short-term rentals,
Hmm.
Airbnbs, basically.
Yep.
Um, Fine and dandy, except it had a whole bunch of riders attached to it, including you're not able to operate your STR within 2,500 feet of a resort hotel, and you can't be within 1,000 feet of another unit. Another unit, a house? So what? If you do it, your neighbor can't? Not to mention how many people actually own houses on the strip.
Hmm.
It's not easy to own a house on the strip. The fences there are too high to climb over for obvious reason. There's no reason that they shouldn't be allowed to profit off living on the strip and putting up with that kind of traffic and tourism
Yeah.
day in and day out of their lives. So
So
that's a
the restrictions for the vacation rentals, they're basically saying that you can't live in this highly popular area, or you can't have a vacation rental in this highly popular area where you're going to make the most money,
Yeah, and
right?
how
But
many
how
rooms are they? Yeah, how many rooms are they renting out? Maybe three at the most. Like, does the nearby resort hotel really need those three rooms? Are they
yeah.
really losing? Yeah. So,
So
uh, the AB 363. That's not one that I would kill. It's just one I would alter.
yeah, so I live in an area along the coast. It's vacation rental area. It's a retirement community,
Mhm.
right? And they've implemented a $900 permit fee for Airbnbs for short-term vacation rentals. Well, I live in Washington, the Washington coast. During the winter, it's cold and it's rainy, and not just during the winter, but half of fall, half of spring, it's cold and rainy, right? And they've made it so difficult that people have pulled their houses off of Airbnb, and it's just like it's not worth it. I'm not paying the government $900 just to be able to rent it out for a few months in the summer. And now they're all switching over and they're using private rental companies. You could bypass that rule if the person staying is staying for 30 days or longer. Well, now what they're doing is basically renting it out to a management company that is signing a contract that we are renting this house from May until August, the end of August or September. You know what I mean? Like, so now there's just one entity renting the house out for longer than 30 days, and then that company is able to bypass the rules and regulations attached to it.
That's the kind of regulation that you only introduce if you have no hobbies, like nothing going on, like you're bored, and it's like, oh, I
I
feel like
think
doing
that's what's
something.
happening.
Uh, no, it's preposterous. Um, yeah, Nevada. Yeah, it's been a good home. If you ever if you ever miss sunshine, Michael, you know.
I'm actually in Arizona right now, and I'll be in Nevada tomorrow.
Oh yeah, yeah. See you then. Um. Oh yeah, I better get back on topic though. Um. So I've talked a lot about lowering costs. A lot of the things that even a libertarian caucus of one seat, could still possibly get passed and accomplished. Then there's government overreach. Now, Nevada's great, but it's not perfect.
Yep.
Recently, Metro Police have entered into a deal with some company called Skydio. Um, a bunch of police drones, surveillance drones, all over the city, and they want to
Oh
expand
no.
it as far as they can. Yeah, no, yeah. And what's so funny is that the one example that they use for why this is so good is that one of the drones was able to find a missing 8-year-old boy who was in a neighbor's yard. A
Next
neighbor's
door.
yard. Yeah, I don't think it took a drone to do that. Now, and the thing is, yeah, and now I know that there's value to police having eye in the sky kind of stuff. I get that. That's why they have helicopters. And
Yeah,
the thing about helicopters though is that they're not ubiquitous. They're not always flying overhead. They're not breathing down the Napier neck, you know.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know a whole lot about this startup company, but I mean, they insist, oh, everything we're doing is by the books. It's all encrypted data. We're not sharing anything, yada, yada, yada. But that's how it always starts. It's how it started
it
with
does.
Facebook. It's how it started with Google. I mean, you remember their old motto, don't be evil? I mean,
It's how it
Nevadans just
started with
don't,
the income tax.
yeah, yeah, we don't need to be watched everywhere we go.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the thing is, they encroach on our civil liberties just a
Hmm.
little bit at a time. They take a step forward and another step and another step and another step. And eventually, we have an income tax that's been, that we've been paying and
Hmm.
they've been stealing from us for lots of years, right? Washington State just passed a bill where they're going to implement an income tax, and it's only on people who earn $1 million a year for now. That's what it is now. Then they're going to turn that to $1 million in assets. You have $1 million in assets, now you have an income tax. And then they're going to turn it into, did you make $1 million in 10 years? Right? They're going to drop it down even further, but they'll use language
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. And then, the base supporters of these politicians are going to think, well, I didn't make $1 million in 10 years, so we should push this forward. Or I don't have $1 million in assets, so we push this forward. And it's usually all the people that are not getting stolen from that want these type of programs, but they don't understand that it will affect their prosperity as well because those people will move. And we're seeing that. We're seeing a mass exodus from Washington and California and Oregon and blue states, New York, right?
Hmm.
So states like Nevada have to understand like you cannot copy these tax and spend policies if you're looking to bring prosperity to the people that live there.
Yeah, I don't miss it. No offense, Um,
No, none taken. I didn't do it.
no, it is funny to talk to people from Washington, and they're always so happy for me that I got out. It's like, oh, good for you. Oh, it's a dump now. They don't use that word necessarily, but something
Yeah.
similar to it. Um, oh yeah, last time I mentioned opening ballot access to other parties. Um, I don't need to go into too much detail about that, but lower the vote requirement, lower the percentage of votes needed or signatures needed to get on the ballot. Another change another improvement I could implement
Yep.
regarding that. Um, every single cycle, they check the last cycle for if you have ballot access or not,
Mhm.
if you're eligible. So basically, every 2 years, you can't miss any of them. So I would change that to every 4 years they would check. So you can screw up and miss ballot access once, and you'll still be on the ballot, but 2 times in a row you're out. I feel like that would be a lot more fair, and it wouldn't put us in this rat race position.
Yeah.
We're always scrambling. Oh my God, we're going to lose ballot access. What do we do?
Yeah,
That's
so
my
I
thought.
would like to. I agree with that. I do believe that we need to reduce the requirements for ballot access 100%, but we
Mhm.
need to reduce them to one. Like you need to get one signature, and then you're on the ballot, right? If the Democrats really believe in democracy and
Mhm.
the Republicans really want a representative constitutional republic, like they need to let other people on the ballot that aren't a part of their teams. Because that's kind of how it's set up to
Mhm.
where if you're part of the Republican team and the Democrat team, you have automatic ballot access. But all those other douchebags on your other teams, they don't. You know, and I'm, you know,
No,
it should. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, those they're very ostensibly named. I'll just leave it at that. Um, while we still have time, something very important actually.
Hmm.
ICE in Nevada. So one day, I'm living life, happy as a clam, and I get a text message from a family member who's in high school, and it says, "ICE is at my school." It's like, what the hell are you talking about? And sure enough, there's the picture of those, what you can only describe as Halloween trick-or-treaters dressed up as paramilitary people, at our high school.
Yes.
Um, no,
What were they
no, we're
doing?
not going to put up with that. Absolutely not. Even people who agree with the mission of ICE, whatever, not in our high school. No, absolutely not. They don't belong in our high school. They don't belong in our hospitals. They don't belong in our assisted living facilities. I mean, they
Yeah.
don't belong in Nevada anyways. Um, we we've taken care of immigration for years now, and we haven't needed any help. And this isn't help either, of course. Um, if there's
Yeah.
anything that I could run on, it would be we will not comply.
Yeah. So, the thing is, I agree with violent criminals
Mhm.
that don't belong here, getting
Mhm.
them off the street. I agree with violent criminals in general getting off the street. And it
Mhm.
seems like federal overreach on states and local municipalities is a huge problem right now. And what needs to happen is if ICE is going to come in a community, right,
Mhm.
Immigration Customs Enforcement, coming into a community, they need to work with the local sheriff's department, they need to
Mhm.
work with the local police department, right, and not be an independent entity.
Mhm.
That will give more accountability, and it will make it to where they have more scrutiny, right? Because if ICE comes in and they have to work with their local sheriff and their local
Mhm.
police department, they're going to be less likely to kill someone. They're going to
Yeah.
be less likely to just grab someone off the street because they're having to report to another organization.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were promised that they were only going to go after. Thank you, Joe. Yeah, we were promised that they were only going to go after the Walter Whites and the Gus Frings of the country, but
Yeah. Well, the brown Walter Whites.
yeah, uh,
Joe Hanush says, "We will not comply." Gage Beck. He quoted you for the
raw.
show. Yep.
All right. Um, well,
Yeah.
I mean,
So yeah, anything else you want to talk about? We got about a minute and a half before I got to shut it down, and then I'll be interviewing Stephen Barella. So,
that's a cool dude. Um, I guess I'll save the least for last, which is I would absolutely introduce a bill to repeal the law against ballot selfies. That's not a big deal. I get it, but I mean, no, it's completely ridiculous though that it's illegal.
why is it a
You're not
law? Like,
you're
why do
not
they
allowed
have
to
to
take a
do this?
picture of your ballot, huh?
Yeah, why? Why are they making laws like that? Like, you can't take a ballot selfie. Like, come on, I'm gonna
And
take
I
a
know
picture of my whole ballot. I'm gonna
and
tell
I
everyone
know
who I voted for.
and I know the defense. The defense is, well, nobody's been arrested for it. It's like, okay, yeah. So let's repeal the law against it, and then nobody will ever be arrested for it in the future
Correct.
or face any kind of punishment for it. The reason I bring it up is that I do have a lot of partisan friends, proud Democrats and Republicans, and they take pictures of their ballots. They're super happy for who they voted for. I'm
Sure.
happy for them. That shouldn't be against the law. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I totally agree. Joe Hanush says, absolutely need to exercise civil disobedience against the anti-First Amendment law against ballot selfies.
Yeah, I hate the name ballot selfie, but I mean, It's the world we live in.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you so much, Gage. I appreciate you running for office. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. We're doing a live stream from Chiba Hut in Las Vegas, Nevada, or somewhere near Las Vegas. I think it's in a different city.
I think it was in Henderson, but I haven't checked in a while.
Yep.
Anyways, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yep. Absolutely. Have a good one. Take care.